Hello friends, and welcome to Gardening with Creekside. Today we're going to talk about perennials. Yes, we're going to talk about some of the top selling perennials here at Creekside Nursery in Dallas, North Carolina. I know it's mid-January, y'all. We're actually supposed to get some snow today. I know a lot of the country is covered in snow and you're cold, and it's just, my favorite part about winter is that you are dreaming and planning for the spring. So I'm going to feed into that funness of the wintertime for the gardener, and we're going to talk about great perennials for your garden. Again, these are some of the top sellers here at Creekside Nursery. These are in no particular order. I do have my notes, therefore I can give you all of the good detail on all of these, and I have my glasses because, you know, the eyesight's not as good as it used to be. So here we go, without further ado. Lavenders. We have got two different kinds of lavender. It's really gonna kind of depend on where you are as far as your climate, maybe which one is better for you. One of the #1 sellers here, of course, is the proven winners variety of Sweet Romance Lavender. This is a beautiful lavender where it is happy and it thrives. This is going to be more of a petite, shorter lavender, and a tighter habit to it, but it still gives you all of the things that we love about lavender, right? That beautiful flowers, the fragrance, that beautiful foliage, all of the great things about lavender in a smaller, tighter habit. This is going to be about 18 inches tall, 18 inches wide, so very, very manageable. Hardy in zones 5 to 9, and of course your lavender loves the sun. It drinks up the sun, so you need to give it at least 6 hours, and this is where lavenders really need kind of as little water as possible, which is great, right? So put it in those drier areas, those sunny, dry areas, and your bees, your butterflies, all of those pollinators are absolutely going to flock to it. And your lavender, of course, is deer and rabbit resistant. So praise the Lord for that. If you are in the South, if you are in the heat and the humidity like I am, not knocking the plant, but Sweet Romance does not work for me here in North Carolina. I have killed more Sweet Romances, and I was about to give up on the plant. Our sweet friend Kata was like, Jenny, I want you to try Phenomenal Lavender. I was like, okay, because I trust you, I'm going to try one more lavender. I tried Phenomenal, and y'all, this lavender lives up to its name. It is absolutely phenomenal. It can handle the heat and humidity that we have here in the South. That's why Sweet Romance didn't do well for me. It's not that I was doing anything wrong, because heaven knows I tried it in every kind of situation. It's just our climate, the heat, the humidity, it does not do well. Phenomenal handles it like a champion. It is going to tolerate both extreme heat and extreme cold, and it's going to have very little dieback in the winter. So we love that. It is resistant to root rot. I have wet. I can't help it. I can't stop the rain coming in the wintertime. So Phenomenal will resist that root rot and all of those foliar diseases. Of course, it makes a great cut flower, whether you want to use it fresh or you want to use it dried, you want to use it in some culinary recipes, absolutely can do that. Now, Phenomenal is going to be bigger. It's basically going to be like 2.5 feet tall and can get to be like 4 to 4.5 feet wide. So much larger than Sweet Romance. Hardy in zones 4 to 9. And the absolute most gorgeous classic lavender foliage and flowers. It smells divine. Pollinators are all over it. In fact, I still have a vase of the dried Phenomenal lavender in our house from 2 years ago, and it is still absolutely beautiful. So if you have struggled with lavender and you're just like, I just can't grow lavender, I want you to try one Phenomenal. It was a game changer for me, and it gave me the classic lavender that I've always wanted to have, but I never seemed to quite achieve it. Phenomenal did it for me. So I love that lavender. I do love salvias. I absolutely adore the annual salvias. My favorite perennial salvia is one that you love just as much. This is Salvia Pink Profusion, and it's such a great plant that it was actually last year's perennial of the year with proven winners. Now, Pink Profusion is going to be really such a great plant because, one, it is a rebloomer. You're going to get a gorgeous display of spring flowers. Once those flowers are done, you can shear the plant back, like shear the foliage, the bloom stalks, just cut them all the way back, and it reblooms. So it's a great rebloomer, and it's a bit of a shorter stature. It's only going to be about 16 inches tall, 16 to 20 inches wide. Great for the front of the border, and if you can plant it in mass, and when I say mass, that could be 3 plants, right? Group them together and it makes a huge impact. This is going to be hardy in zones 3 to 8, even as an 8A. It does really, really well for me. Your salvias, of course, are full sun, so again, minimum of 6 hours, low to average water needs, and it is going to be a huge pollinator attractor. All your bees, your butterflies, your hummingbirds. It is deer and rabbit resistant, so yay for that. And it just has a lot of versatility in the garden, so no matter what kind of like your gardening style is, Pink Profusion is going to work really well for you in that. I love this plant with those beautiful pink flowers. Echinaceas are always so incredibly popular, right? It does not matter. I mean, they're like old as time. They are a classic perennial for the garden, but with the breeding that has come along, we have lots of fun new colors and big, huge flowers. One of my favorites, again, is Echinacea. The fuchsia is bright. Now, the fuchsia is bright is a great Echinacea because of its massive blooms. These flowers can be like 4.5 inches wide in that really electric fuchsia pink color. They make an absolute statement in the garden. Again, if you can put several of them together in the same area right there, you're really going to get a lot of attention to those plants. They're going to be about 22 inches tall, that includes the flower, and about 18 inches wide. Of course, they have those beautiful, like I said, electric fuchsia pink flowers, and this is going to be a full to part sun. So if you only have maybe 4.5 to 5 hours, you might be able to get away with it. Again, low to average water needs. Echinaceas, of course, are a native perennial, so that is always kind of the buzzword right now, is that they are natives, and that they attract all your pollinators. They absolutely adore them, and they are deer resistant. Now, one of the fun new things coming in breeding of plants is called tissue cultures. So some plants, right, we come from seed. They will produce a seed and you can germinate that seed and you get another plant. You can, of course, have perennials that you divide the root systems, you divide it out, and there you go. One of the newest ways is tissue cultures, where they actually are taking these plants in a scientific lab and recreating those plants from the mother plant. The great thing about tissue culture plants is that you are guaranteed to get the identical same plant over and over and over again. So you get great uniformity within that plant. So the fuchsia is bright is what we call a TC plant. So you're going to get identical flowers, identical everything from one plant to the next. Sometimes with seeds, you're going to get a lot of variation within that. So that is one of the new things in the horticultural world, relatively new speaking, right? That gives us beautiful uniform flowers. Then we have one of the absolute most popular ones. We could not keep this in stock at the nursery. Y'all gobbled it up online, is the raspberry beret echinacea. What makes raspberry beret so cool is that it is a double flower. You have got these such unique, fun flowers that have that, of course, that raspberry pink color to them. The plants themselves are low and wide. They're only going to be, I say only, 20 inches tall and 24 inches wide, hardy in zones 4 to 8, and they too have nice big flowers, a 4-inch flower on them. And then same as all the other echinaceas, right? They're native, the pollinator attractors, they're deer resistant. It's just such an absolutely cool flower. Echinaceas are one of those where there are literally probably as many echinaceas out there as there are stars in the sky. So if echinaceas work for you in your garden, go for it. You could have tons of different echinacea and your garden would have such beautiful color and diversity in them. It would be stunning. And then the last echinacea for today is Yellow My Darling. This, of course, is another proven winners. They have such fun names with their plants. This too is a TC culture, so you're going to have identical color and habit in your plant. Yellow My Darling has great branching, meaning the plant is really well branched. It has beautiful flower performance, big, huge flowers. The petals on Yellow My Darling are horizontal, so they're very horizontal, linear out, so you get this big, huge flower on them. Of course, it's a pollinator magnet, and the flowers begin a rich yellow, and then as they age, they go to a creamy yellow. This is going to be 24 inches tall and 20 inches wide. So this is going to be more columnar than like raspberry beret. So again, you could put raspberry beret and Yellow My Darling in your garden, and you're going to have one that's taller and skinnier and one that's shorter and wider. So incredibly pretty, native, still hardy in zones 4 to 8, all the same things as your other echinaceas. It is just absolute fun to see all of the colors and the different shapes and sizes of those flower heads. Now, this series is new for 2025. We actually got a sneak peek and were able to make it available to y'all last year. So even though it's new for 2025, I know that I have it in my garden and many of you have it in your garden. It is the new Coreopsis from Proven Winners, and there are 3 in the series, and you loved all 3 of them. The main difference with these 3 Coreopsis is going to be their colors, of course. Now, the first one, and this is in no particular order, is we have heartstrings. And so heartstrings is going to be a beautiful cream flower that has a dark reddish eye to it. It's going to be about 20 inches tall, 24 inches wide, hardy in zones 5 to 9. Your Coreopsis, of course, they drink the sun. They love to have lots and lots of full sun. Again, that low to average water. So this is perfect for those parts in your garden that are hot and dry and kind of neglected. The Coreopsis is a great beginner plant. So if you're just now getting into gardening and you want to add a little bit of some perennials to your garden, Coreopsis is a great place to start. And this series, they are a long bloomer. They're what we call a threadleaf type Coreopsis, meaning that their foliage is very fine, almost like a little fern kind of foliage to it. Very thin, and so you've got these beautiful flowers absolutely covering the plant. Coreopsis is also native to North America, so there you go. And of course, massive pollinator attractor again for them. If you want to go a little bit more bold, you want some bright yellow in your garden, then let's go for Golden Needles. Golden Needles has those really golden yellow flowers with a dark maroon eye. So it's really fun. It too is going to be about 20 inches tall, 22 inches wide on that one. And again, if you can plant these, I would say in like groups of 3, or if you only have 3, put them together because they're just going to make a huge impact. Putting those plants together in a mass planting really does make a huge impact. Now, if you like hot and you love red in the garden, then Scarlet Ribbons is going to be for you. It is an absolutely gorgeous red Coreopsis. Beautiful. It's going to be a little bit shorter, 18 inches tall, 20 inches wide. So even within that series, they're roughly around the same size, but you do have a little bit of kind of a short, medium, and a tall. So I really encourage you, if you have a sunny garden and you're in zones 5 to 9 and you've never tried a Coreopsis before, I would highly encourage you to do that. It is just such a fun plant. The blooms on it, I was really impressed with it last year, did such a great job. And in fact, I had heartstrings right beside my phenomenal lavender. It was gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous combination. Next, a new native perennial. This is spigilla. This is apple slices. And apple slices, as its name suggests, is going to be a beautiful red. This is a nice tubular flower. If you're kind of familiar with Vermillionaire Kufia, think that kind of shape of a flower on apple slices. This is a great native perennial, and it is native to the eastern United States. In fact, I had a customer that was looking at it last year, and she was like, I see these on my hikes in the mountains. And I was like, yes. Now, it's not the exact same plant, right? But it is spigilla, so it is a lovely native perennial to the eastern United States. This is going to be 22 inches tall, 18 inches wide. Beautiful, bright red flowers in late spring to early summer. And of course, you know, if it's bright red, who loves that? That's right, your hummingbirds. They love to get that plant. And in its native areas, you're going to find these in those woodland areas, anywhere from sun to shade. Now, if you get more sun with your spigilla, you're going to have to make sure that they have lots of moisture. I actually added the spigilla to Critter Corner because it stays historically damp, but it's in the full sun. So we will see how it does this year. So the more sun, you're going to get more flowers on it, but you got to watch that moisture. So if you have that little wet area, make sure you put it there. And yeah, it is going to be a fun plant to add to your garden. Really unique. I literally have had people, because we have it planted at the nursery with the spigilla, and they have asked if they could dig the plant up and they would pay for it and take it out of the landscape. And I had to kindly tell them, no, we're not digging the plants up out of the garden. Next, we have Echinacea, Yarrow, firefly, fuchsia. Now, this is one of the newer ones. Fuchsia, as its name suggests, of course, is going to be a lovely pink. This one is new for 2025. It has a very kind of tall but sturdy habit to it, because that is one of the complaints about yarrow, is that yes, they're tall, but as soon as they get the height to them and then you get some wind, they flop over, and then it's just annoying because they're wide and they're leggy and they flop over. The new Firefly series is going to have that same height to it. It's going to be about 24 inches tall, but it's nice and strong and sturdy, and it's not going to split open. Of course, Firefly fuchsia is going to have a deep fuchsia flower that it begins with, that it opens up with, and then as it ages, it will turn to a light pink. Now, if you're familiar with pollinators and which flowers they're attracted to, they love flowers that have a nice big, like, flat landing pad, especially like your butterflies. So with your yarrow and your firefly fuchsia, they do have that really kind of flat surface. So you're going to get lots of pollinators on there. You're going to get your butterflies on there because they have plenty of room to land. This is another native plant to North America. Like I said, 24 inches tall, 30 inches wide, zones 3 to 8, and it does need the full sun. If you put it in a more shady area, then you could easily get some floppage, because it needs all that sun to get those nice strong stems on it. Next, we have Artemesia silver lining. Again, this is one of those plants that y'all gobbled up, whether it was at the garden center or here online. Silver lining is a really cool Artemesia in the fact that it is quite different than traditional Artemesia. What do I mean? Well, first of all, we've got the foliage, right? Beautiful, really heavily dissected leaves on this. Of course, we love Artemesia for that beautiful silver foliage. It'll flower. We don't care about the flowers. We want the foliage. So you're going to get that classic silver foliage that Artemesia is known and loved for. However, traditional Artemesia can be problematic in some gardens in the fact of, as it spreads, it will root and it will send out runners. So it can be a bit of a bully in the garden and can be kind of obnoxious. Silver lining is not going to do that. You're going to have your main root system, and then of course it does spread out. It is going to be 16 inches tall, but it can get up to 36 inches wide. However, as it spreads out, it is not going to root. It is not going to send out runners. So at the end of the season, you've had your hard freeze, it's wintertime, now would be a great time to do it. You can gather up all your foliage just like a ponytail and give it a flat top and absolutely cut all that off. It is not going to be a bully in the garden like traditional Artemesia. We have it in multiple places of the garden, and it is absolutely beautiful. This is a great thing to use as a ground cover if you have a wall or a rock garden and you wanted to put it there and it would kind of trail over to soften those edges. Stunning. It is going to be hardy in zones 4 to 9. It does need the full sun in the 6 hours plus. It is another native plant to North America, and it is deer and rabbit resistant. So you don't have to have flowers in order to have a beautiful garden with lots of color and interest and texture. In fact, we love mixing all of those together, right? We all play a part just like a symphony. So even though you're not buying this for a big flower power, you're still going to get a huge impact in your garden with that silver lining Artemesia. And then I believe this is our last one. This has been one of the absolute massive, I dare say, the #1 selling perennial here at Creekside for several years. We have sold more cat's pajamas Nepeta than I think probably any other perennial. This is a phenomenal perennial in the fact that it is so easy. It is a low growing Nepeta. It gets about 14 inches tall, and that includes the flowers, and 20 inches wide. It's going to be, if you're familiar with cat's meow, it's going to be smaller than that, and it blooms 2 to 3 weeks earlier than cat's meow. And the difference with the cat's pajamas is most traditional Nepeta will bloom only at the top of your stems. Cat's pajama blooms the entire length of that stem. So you get flowers from the bottom of the stem all the way up. It, of course, is a beautiful fragrance. When you run your fingers through it, or if you were to step on it or whatever, it releases this beautiful mint fragrance that fragrance makes it deer and rabbit resistant. So again, we love that. And this is going to need that full sun, right? You're going to have those 6 hours to have that beautiful foliage on it. It will be a repeat bloomer, so it will bloom and you can shear it back, just like we talked about that pink profusion salvia, and then it will rebloom again. If you are looking to support your pollinators, especially those early season pollinators, you need cat's pajamas. The honeybees go crazy over this plant. Absolutely will just be covering it. This makes a great ground cover. You can use it in mass. You can use it in the front of your garden because it only gets 14 inches tall. So nice and low, gives you some coverage at 20 inches wide and spreads out, and just is a great addition to your sun garden, especially tucked into those areas where maybe you need a little bit of help to kind of fill in some gaps. Cat's pajamas is going to be a great one for you. So those are the top perennials for here at Creekside Nursery. We will have, of course, all of these here at the Garden Center. So if you're going to be coming and visiting us here in the spring and summer, we will have these available for you. And then, of course, they are available online. All of these are online. You can go ahead and pre-order them if you like. Pre-ordering just simply means that we go ahead and place your order. You're reserving that plant. When it is time for your growing zone, we will send it out to you. All of the plants online are a quart size container. Nice, strong, healthy root system for you. Your perennials do great as quarts, and they will just go straight in the ground. If you want to put it in a container, you can do that as well. So we hope you have found this helpful and informative. Hopefully you have found one plant that will speak to you and that you want to add to your garden. If there's a series that you would like to see us do, whether it's, I know somebody's going to say shade perennials, we will absolutely do one on shade perennials because I think sometimes the shade garden gets a little neglected, and so we will definitely do something with shade perennials. But if there's a video in this kind of education, let's talk about some certain plants, just let us know, put it in the comments below. But as always, we so appreciate you. Have a great day. We'll see you in the next video. Bye, friends.